Since the US military withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021, leaving behind over $7 billion worth of equipment, the Taliban has had control of a staggering arsenal, from helicopters and vehicles to advanced weaponry. Now, Donald Trump is making headlines with a bold demand, quote, "Return it." But is it even possible, or is this a case of too little too late? This wasn't just a few scattered supplies, it was state-of-the-art military technology that has shifted into the hands of the Taliban. Fast forward to today, and Trump's call for the Taliban to hand it back has sparked intense debate. Should they comply, or is this simply wishful thinking? This issue is about more than just money or equipment. It touches on geopolitics, accountability for taxpayer dollars, and the future of US national security. How this situation plays out could set the tone for how similar challenges are addressed in the future. So, what's at stake, and where does this lead? Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to stay updated on the biggest global stories. Let's dive in. What was left behind? When the US military withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021, they didn't just leave behind empty bases. The scale of the equipment left in the hands of the Taliban is staggering. We're talking about billions of dollars worth of advanced military hardware, enough to equip a small army. Among the gear left behind were over 22,000 military vehicles, including Humvees and armored trucks, aircraft like Black Hawk helicopters, and a variety of weapons ranging from rifles to heavy artillery. Add to that communication and surveillance equipment, and you start to see the magnitude of what's now under Taliban control. All of this equipment is valued at over $7 billion, an astronomical sum, especially when you consider it was funded by US taxpayers. And unlike outdated or damaged equipment, much of what was left behind was fully operational or easily repairable. With this massive arsenal now in the hands of the Taliban, the question is, what are they doing with it, and what could it mean for global security? Trump's demand. In a recent rally, President Donald Trump issued a bold ultimatum to the Taliban, the US military equipment left behind during the 2021 withdrawal. He emphasized that any future financial assistance to Afghanistan would be contingent upon the return of this equipment. Trump's demand centers on accountability and the prudent use of US taxpayer dollars. He argues that the equipment, valued at over $7 billion, represents a significant investment by American taxpayers. Allowing it to remain under Taliban control not only undermines national pride but also poses potential security risks. By insisting on its return, Trump aims to rectify what he perceives as a misstep in the withdrawal process and to ensure that American resources are not utilized against US interests. At the rally, Trump stated, quote, "If we're going to pay billions of dollars a year, tell them we're not going to give them the money unless they give back our military equipment." This direct approach underscores his commitment to reclaiming US assets and holding the Taliban accountable. The Taliban's response. In response to President Donald Trump's demand for the return of US military equipment left behind during the 2021 withdrawal, the Taliban have firmly declined. A source familiar with the matter stated that the Taliban will not return any of the military equipment. The Taliban's refusal is rooted in their current security challenges. They argue that instead of returning the equipment, they require more advanced weaponry to combat threats like ISIS-Khorasan, an offshoot of the Islamic State operating in the region. This stance underscores their unwillingness to comply with Trump's demand. The Taliban's outright rejection of Trump's demand has significant implications for US-Taliban relations and regional dynamics. Strained relations. This refusal exacerbates existing tensions between the US and the Taliban, complicating any potential diplomatic engagements or negotiations in the future. Security concerns. With the Taliban retaining control of advanced military equipment, there are heightened concerns about the potential use of these assets in regional conflicts or their possible acquisition by other extremist groups. Geopolitical dynamics. The situation may influence the Taliban's interactions with neighboring countries and other global powers, as they navigate their newfound military capabilities and the international community's response. This development underscores the complexities of post-withdrawal Afghanistan and the challenges inherent in US foreign policy decisions regarding the region. The geopolitical and security implications. The equipment left behind in Afghanistan doesn't just symbolize a logistical challenge, it represents a significant shift in the region's power dynamics. With the Taliban in control of over $7 billion worth of advanced military gear, the consequences reach far beyond Afghanistan's borders. Reports suggest the Taliban have already integrated much of the equipment into their forces. Black Hawk helicopters, armored vehicles, and advanced weaponry have bolstered their military capabilities, allowing them to consolidate power domestically. But the risk doesn't stop there. This equipment could potentially be sold, traded, or fall into the hands of other extremist groups like ISIS-K, amplifying regional instability. This situation also sends a message to the world. To U.S. allies, it raises concerns about the reliability of American support in conflicts and the management of military assets. To adversaries, it might signal an opportunity to exploit U.S. vulnerabilities. For instance, rival nations could study this equipment to develop countermeasures or strengthen their own military capabilities. We're already seeing the effects. Taliban forces have reportedly used these weapons to suppress opposition groups and maintain control over key regions in Afghanistan. Neighboring countries, like Pakistan, have expressed concerns about how this arsenal might fuel cross-border tensions or be used to support insurgent groups. Each of these developments adds another layer to an already volatile region. With so much at stake, it's clear that the ripple effects of the U.S. withdrawal and the equipment left behind are still unfolding. The question now is, what's the next move for the U.S. and its allies, and how does this impact global security moving forward? Is a return even possible? Donald Trump's bold demand for the Taliban to return $7 billion worth of U.S. military equipment raises an important question. Is it even possible? On the surface, it might seem straightforward, but when you dig deeper, the challenges become glaring. First, let's talk logistics. The equipment in question includes vehicles, aircraft, and weapons that are now spread across Afghanistan and integrated into Taliban operations. Recovering this arsenal would require extensive coordination and resources. Then there's the Taliban's clear unwillingness. They've already made it clear they don't plan to return the equipment, citing their need for it to maintain internal security and counter threats like ISIS. And finally, the issue of ownership. From the Taliban's perspective, this equipment is now theirs, seized as a result of the U.S. withdrawal. Convincing them to hand it back voluntarily is an uphill battle. So, if a full return isn't realistic, what are the alternatives? One approach could involve negotiation. The U.S. could leverage economic aid or sanctions to push the Taliban toward a compromise, like limiting the use of this equipment or preventing it from falling into the wrong hands. Another option is working with regional allies. Neighboring countries, such as Pakistan, could play a role in monitoring the movement of this equipment or pressuring the Taliban diplomatically. Finally, the U.S. could prioritize measures to counteract any misuse of the equipment, such as using technology to disable advanced systems or launching intelligence operations to track its use. While a full return may be out of reach, these alternatives could help mitigate the risks posed by this equipment. In conclusion, so, what have we uncovered? In 2021, over $7 billion worth of U.S. military equipment was left behind during the withdrawal from Afghanistan, now in the hands of the Taliban. President Donald Trump's bold demand for its return has sparked debate, but the Taliban's refusal raises tough questions about the feasibility of recovery and the geopolitical consequences. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Should the U.S. push harder to reclaim this equipment, or is it simply a lost cause at this point? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this deep dive into global issues, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Stay informed, stay curious, and join us for more content breaking down the world's biggest stories.